Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of No Fan Sports Podcast on No Fan TV on via YouTube. Also broadcasting live, I think via IG, Instagram Live, and as well doing audio on the Anchor for No Fan Sports Podcast. You can follow us there. Also, you can follow us on all the other little links there, be in the IG or whatever, be in the description. You can catch us everywhere. I'd like to introduce myself again. My name is, I go by New, just simple NEW, nickname that was given to me by a dear friend of mine, my boy Don Q. May he rest in peace. Grew up playing football together, little shorties, back in the day. Shout out to my the old heads back in the D, old Shamrocks. Anyway, also, if you haven't heard before, I'd like to welcome you here. But we just asked, we got one request though. You leave your bromances and womances at the door. The love affairs, want to park those at the door because you may not like what you want to hear. We don't do love affairs here. We created No Fan Sports Podcast because I, for one, just tired of hearing this same regurgitated rhetoric. I like to have a conversation. The conversation, like I titled this is a conversation, this is a conversation that many don't like to have. No fan, we do black, white, maybe just a touch of shade of gray. I know a lot of people like analytics and metrics and stats, which is cool too. I like those too. But sometimes we like to talk about the part of the game that you can't really put on a stat sheet and you can't measure it like that. It's just a feel or something that you may witness or see or whatever. And with that said, let me go ahead and let me knock these out the park. Man, we got to do this right way. No Fan Sports Podcast is providing this podcast as a public service, but is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of No Fan Sports Podcast. Reference to any, we'll go do this right now. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by No Fan Sports Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Views and opinions expressed by myself are those of my own and not necessarily reflects the views of No Fan Sports Podcast or any of its officials. Also, we get this fair use out the way. Fair use copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, now we got that out the way because we go talk about a few things too. We all seen it last night. Let me shout out my homegirl Lulu. She was rooting for Tom Brady. I told her to tip my hat. We was on opposite sides of the team this night. Alumni sister, you got it, girl. Anyway, earlier today, yesterday, I did do a quick. I thought I was riding with KC. Felt very, very comfortable about it. Seeing something different as the game took place after the first two drives. Man, things changed dramatically. It was just that quick. It don't take long because possessions are very key in football because you don't get that many. That's why. If any of you ever played the game and then, during practice, it's penalties. It was punishment for mistakes, missed snap counts, holds and fouls and different things of that nature. You had to pay, extra push-ups, extra laps, different things like that. These are things that you did when you committed errors that would cost. That's costly. Turnovers are costly. Possessions are few and far between when you're talking about the element of football. If you really count the possessions that you have, or you may have during the attempt of course of the game. So Tom Brady comes out on top again. Changed teams, went right back to the place he's been the most out of anybody. I think that's a record probably will last a lifetime. Look like you may hang out up there. Definitely go hang out up there with what's my man Cal Ripken's Jr. Iron Man record. Joe DiMaggio's record staying pretty good. It seems like it's gonna be there for a minute. It's up there now. That Brady thing. I don't think this man's been to the Super Bowl 10 times, 7 championships. I think 5 MVPs. very unlikely someone individual is gonna make it that many. Not only make it to that many Super Bowls and then actually win that many, but also be a pivotal player involved in that many. Especially on the level of football is concerned. So that's gonna be a trick in itself. I just don't see it being broken. So hats off to him and his Brady's. Okay, but anyway, um, like I said, we just ask you to leave your bromasters and womasters at the door. So we're gonna have that tough conversation. I don't know what it is about this particular this man and these travels and different things like that, but it's always a time when we have intricate or questionable things going on that's involved with this game when he's a participant. And this is just being 100. Okay, this is not hating. This is not a conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. If this is a possibility, nothing is conspiracy. Things have happened. It's been some real bad things that happened that people thought were conspiracy. So we're going to just leave that at that. But nevertheless, we're still looking at a situation where we had a team that was down both their starting tackles, but we're not going to defend that because my man Todd Bowles they was going to be rough for them anyway. It was going to be rough sledding even if they had their starting tackles because I like Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles should actually have still been a head coach until this day. If Adam Gase or whatever can keep getting head coaching jobs, one failed Miami situation, then turn around and replace Bowles in New York, I don't see and this man should have still been a coach anyway. Hats off to Todd Bowles and his defensive plan. Great coach. I think he's got a great defensive mind, and he put a decent team together over there in New York. He just didn't get enough time to let it mold himself around him, But I think he should be out, and if this doesn't get him a nod or a look as another candidate, or one of the few instances where black former black head coaches actually get another opportunity to be a head coach. I think Todd Bowles is a value candidate. Matter of fact, they had three of them. Todd Bowles, Byron Leftwich. I mean, I think Brady gave him praise in regards to the game that he called. I have to take my hats off to Byron, and also Eric Bieniemy on the other side. But in the same token, I'm gonna put a little blame on Eric and Andy over there. I thought, in light of the situation when they was catching the heavy pressure, because Mahomes never had the opportunity to set his feet. The Bucks kept moving. Like I said, I don't want to make it seem like this was all because he didn't have his tackles, but Todd Bowles is a hell of a defensive mind. If you look at his New York defense when he was coach there, they put on they were pretty stellar as well. They was heading in the right direction, I'll say. Okay, so they never let him set his feet. That was a good thing. It was a good thing for the Bucks. Tom Brady won an MVP, but if I had to give out the MVP, I would have gave it to the Bucks defense. If I had to single out one particular person on the defense, it would have been the middle linebacker or the linebacker. I think his name is Devon White, number 45, young man out of LSU. Really not a Bucks fan. I don't follow him that well. I understand it's his second season. This year's the first time I really had a chance to just look at him. The young man is phenomenal. Ball hawk. He covers. He stops the run. He's everything you would want in an inside linebacker. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Barring injury, anything off the field, I'm not wishing anything. Well, this man should have a place in Canton pretty soon. Once he's finished playing. That's just that's just the way I feel about him. I like defense. I'm a defensive player. That's why I grew up on playing a little defense. So kind of admire those guys when they get them things out there and they get going. And and this guy, awesome talent. So I mad respect for him. And I thought maybe he could have took home the MVP, or the defense could have took home the MVP. And I remember back in the day, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. My boy Randy White and Harvey Martin had a co-MVP. I think the '79 Super Bowl. So. I thought he was worthy of it. This is just my opinion on that. I thought he was worthy of that. That being said, so first two possessions were kind of sketchy. Tampa Bay went up first on the touchdown. Unfortunately, Kansas City was not able to even make it into the end zone, which we found, everybody found kind of strange. I mean, they hadn't been shut down all season to this degree. Now, with that being said, we go turn we just go fast forward and just go get to it because I'm sure you heard everything you can hear, and this is just gonna sound like some old Brady hate or whatever. But that's what I said. We created No Fan just to get another a voice out there, another opinion or scenario or something, because you go get the same a zillion of the same. We doing something. We want to talk about something that may be, or at least that I think is. You know what I'm saying? So I think second quarter, man, we're going to halftime. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna pull this up too. I gotta make sure I got, because I already dotted all T's and dotted I's, cross the T's. For that second quarter, that second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, the second, no, this is phenomenal. So this is actually for the metrics of stat people, or stat guys and girls who like to, debate stats and different things like that, or talk about those metrics and different things. This is specifically for them in this particular format. What we had, let me see if I can find it. And let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Okay. So, my man Chris Jones, Kansas City defensive lineman, I think defensive tackle, and this is an article that I got from the Score, and this is supposedly he was telling Pro Football Talk, speaking with Miles Simmons. He says the penalties cost the game either way. Jones said post game, according to Pro Football Talk, Miles Simmons, only the referees can call the penalties. So the penalties affected the game 1,000%. What can I say? We had a lot of penalties called on us today. I was very surprised at the number of flags thrown. He continued, this is the Super Bowl. Usually, you let guys play, especially in the biggest game of the year. Penalties can change the game. The Chiefs were penalized 11 times for 120 yards in the blowout, 31-9 defeat, while Tampa Bay received 4 flags that cost 39 yards. Several infractions were called on Kansas City's defense to extend Buccaneers' drives. Okay. And it's also said, I think it says star safety Tyrann Mathieu was on the receiving end of some of those flags, but refused to comment on the officiating. Okay. And I had to dig that up because they was kind of quiet about that. The whole scenario, you've seen a lot of jaw jacking between Mathieu and Brady. And the one short clip that they showed, at least they showed during the game that I would recall seeing, was when they actually flagged Mathieu and charged him with unsportsmanlike conduct. And I think, he was a step away from being thrown out the game. And he and Brady were jawing back and forth. But they just showed that instance when the flag was thrown. Prior to that, like I said, he and Gordon, from what I'm understanding, he and Brady had been jaw-jacking back and forth for quite a while. But prior to that flag being thrown, Brady had ran and chased him down. They didn't show the whole clip. Chased him down 1-1. Mathieu ended up getting flagged. Okay. Super Bowl, you flag them for talking stuff, and actually Brady ran him down. Okay. That's one flag. That cost him. I think that was a 15-yard penalty. During that drive, when it looks like KC had stopped Tampa Bay, I think Tyrann had came up with an interception, a tipped interception. It was called back from a holding penalty. I'm not saying, I think the person was holding, but ironically, this wasn't the hold. If I'm not mistaken, this wasn't the hold of the receiver with a ball in that direction. It was on the other side of the court, or other side of the field. Okay, so we got that call. There was a couple others, and then also that phantom flop by my man Mike Evans, the tripping when actually when feet collide, accidental tripping is not pass interference. The ball was questionable whether it could have been caught. Looks like it may have been out of reach. But at the end of the day, if you go back and watch that play, the defensive back never touched. As far as the trip, when the tripping incident came about, that was just Mike Evans, hell of a acting job. They got a flag for that. I think immediately after that play, that's when the touchdown, I think that was the second or the third touchdown to Gronk or whatever. Okay, they go in half, 21-6. Possessions in football are few. You don't. I know we all sit back and watch and we love it, but when you really count your possessions, it's really not that many. If you and if you're not lucky and not getting down, yeah, it's gonna be a long day for you. So we talk about possessions and everything like that. So these are key. So my problem with the penalties, and like I said, it always seems like ironic when this dude playing Super Bowls or big games, he's got questionable calls, and it's these flags just keep coming. So, and before we even, get that heavy, off in the flags now, because like I said, these were record numbers. They were record numbers. In regards to the flags that was thrown. I wish I could. Let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to find it, but nonetheless, I think it was like 95 yards caught on the defense. Let me see. Let's see. We can find it. Anyway, that's what I'm saying. When we go back to the analytic portion of it, when we start talking about those things, I think it was 95 yards, or no. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So again, this is from the Miles Simmons conversation. He said the Chiefs received 9 penalties and the Bucks only had 2. While he wasn't exactly right, he was close on the first half numbers. Kansas City had 8 penalties for 85 yards in the game's opening 30 minutes. Tampa Bay only had 1 for 5 yards. So that's 80 yards. That's 80 yards. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't find an article right now, and it's really killing me. I'm mad that I can't find it. But nonetheless, both the penalties for that was called against the Chiefs for the first half and the second half were both records. So this is for our analytics and our metrics and our stat guys. These were records. These were records that were set that they had never happened before. Both NFL records. Total yards in the first and the second half or something like that. Just record numbers, okay? And penalties. My man Jones may have a case. This gonna sound like I'm hating. No, I'm not hating. I'm just can we watch a game? That's what I ask. Can we watch them play? See, I refuse to believe that you go tell me that is fine-tuned as a machine that KC has running is as good as a coach that Andy Reid has been throughout the years. And that team was like almost like just unstoppable. This is not taking nothing away from Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles and all them, but 9 penalties or 8 penalties first half, 80 yards difference. This is a major drive just before half. They go up 21-6 at the half. And I'm just going to leave that there. Because if I keep going into it, it's just going to come off and it's going to sound like hate, but it's not hate. I just want to watch a game. I just want to watch a game. A game where you got teams coming in, they're able to play, and they can, make that happen right there without all the, the backstories. You know what I'm saying? So this brings me to something like this brings me to a basketball scenario. On the other side of that, yeah, I complained about the penalties. I thought they were real strange, broke a record. The disparity. I think the total was altogether 11 penalties for 120 yards for Kansas City to 4 penalties for just 20 yards for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and And it seems like, every time we get a Brady involved game, this is the disparity looks like as far as calls. I'm just being honest. And if you want to take a look yourself and, not ignore these particular stats or these analytics, then you'll see the same things. Okay. So we just recognizing these possibilities. All right. All that being said, Tampa Bay won. Congratulations. Congratulations, Tom Brady. And this leads me to, like I said, a basketball situation. Back some, it seemed like ancient history. Some years ago, a Detroit Pistons basketball team was put together by the late Scotty Robertson. They called him Trader Jack, and put together a bunch. He had one main character that it was able to land in Isaiah Lord Thomas, who actually didn't even really want to be a part of the Pistons either. But nonetheless, they was able to get Thomas in uniform. And then Scotty went on to add some other pieces, or several other pieces, to the Detroit Pistons franchise. On paper, didn't look like much on the court. Them gentlemen were able to bond together and create a situation that turned them into champions. They had some growing pains, some learning periods, and had to sit down and, actually, watch and figure out how to get this done. Along the way, though, and this will come when we start talking, or you have some people maybe consider some conspiracy type situation or conversation. But what they did, though, it was, as far as most of us as Detroiters felt that, they had to outplay the referees, had to outplay the David Stern, had to outplay the opponents on the opposing team. And one of those opposing teams at that particular time, like when Jordan, this was the tail end of the time, though. Before we even got to the Jordan stages, they had to figure out the Magic and the Birds and different things. Actually, Birds, then the Magics. Even before Bird had to figure out Dominique and Doc Rivers and them over there in Atlanta. So it was some growing pains along the way. So, but at the end of the day, they weren't revered by basketball fans. Only fans that they revered by what they own. Us as Detroit Pistons, us Detroit natives, Piston fans. And then was only people, we were only people that backed them during that particular stage. Get accused of all kinds of things and different things like that. But at the end of the day, they figured out a way to win. Right. And I brought up the Detroit Pistons, and that's why I admire their championships, and I speak so highly of them because of this particular situation. And this is for the men and women. The men and women involved in Kansas City. It's for men and women, young men, young women, boys and girls across the world. Sometimes you got to play through adversity. It's not the easiest thing to do. Whether we as fans feel like it's some type of form of conspiracy, or if I feel like whatever, whichever side of the fence I may fall on. At the end of the day, the championship, those people that have it in their heart, you gotta play through that. Everybody not gonna be for you all the time. Okay, so what I've seen in Kansas City and what I've seen with a lot of athletes in today's game, and this is in all, pretty much all sports, or any sports you can pick. That toughness to play through that adversity. It was clear after that, after the touchdown, it was clear going into the half that the players were distraught for Kansas City. They were broken, which is going to lead me to my blasphemy. But they were broken, and you can see that. You can watch. You can see it in their eyes as they left the field. As a lot of them rushed off the field with frowns and scars on their face or whatever. You can see they were broken. They were frustrated because they felt that they got the bowl end of the stick, as my man Jones said, Chris Jones, the defensive tackle for Kansas City. Am I agreeing with him or disagreeing with him? No, I'm not disagreeing with him. I kind of agree with him. The disparity was ridiculous. It was so much. It was so ridiculous to the point where even when I talk about the back in the day in the basketball, you had the fouls and the mysterious fouls. Can we just play? Can they just play the game? Most of those men or women or whatever sport it is that you watch are talented enough to kind of carry themselves through the threshold. Don't necessarily need any added help. Would just like to see a good game. Like I was speaking with my son earlier today. When I was growing up, I used to watch wrestling, and this is nothing against anybody, any wrestling fans out there, even to this day, young or old. But after I figured out what it was and what it is, what it stood for, what it was about, I no longer found interest in it because the outcomes, well, whether you choose to believe it or not, they stay. I want to see something competitive. I want to see two teams, the two athletes, be able to go head and head and let them decide the outcome. That's what we want to see. We want to see them decide the outcome. If I want to watch wrestling, I'll watch wrestling. I came to watch a Super Bowl yesterday. Tried to watch a Super Bowl. Ended up seeing I don't know what that was. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Okay. But can we just let them play at the end of the day? I'm with my man Jones. Y'all gonna call me a Brady hater, but that was a record-setting penalties in the first half. It was record-setting. Okay, they set a record. So we want to talk about some analytics and some stats. We can talk about that particular stage of the game. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though. All right, and this leads me into my to that blasphemy moment, man. I own the rights to that. I've said this before, here at No Fan, we don't just shut up and drill. We don't just shut up and play. But when the same token, we don't get involved in politics and different things like that. But every now and then, like I said, this little moment, I call it a little blasphemy moment. We like to drop a few jewels, maybe drop an opinion or, strange, whatever. Well, recently, it was brought to my attention. I noticed when I'm talking about being broken, when I made mention of Kansas City being broken, the defense being broken, you can see it on his face. Recently, from what I've been reading, what I was brought to my attention, my man Nick Cannon just recently joined up with, I think, Stacey Laddish, whatever that young lady, new comedian out there. They anti-Semitic and African American group, whatever, to learn, because he had got fired from his post on some anti-Semitic comments that he had supposedly made and was talking with Professor Griff or whatever. Okay. He since went on to apologize after being fired, and it was even at one point, I think in his DMs or whatever, he had made some comments. People even thought he maybe wanted to kill himself. He was very, distraught or whatever, which is understood, losing a job, something maybe that he really loved and enjoyed doing, this, that, and the third or whatever. So, but of late, since he said all his apologies and read all his books, talked to the rabbis and all the people and different things like that, and CBS and the powers that be made it them, gave him his blessings and allowed this young man to go back and be the host of his show, Wild and Out. I got a question though. Well, my problem is, to my understanding, also that my man P. Diddy in his Revolt station had offered him his platform for him to do his show, Wilding Out, on his platform. That meant that he can speak his piece, speak his truth. If he felt the way he felt when he did that interview, that was on him. And at some point, you got to man up and stand up for whatever it is that and this is what you claim he wanted to do. Well, it looks like, he really wasn't. They got that saying, everybody want to be black, but they don't want to be black when it's time to be black. So when it got hot in the kitchen, it got at him. He folded, came back, apologized. Now he begged, got his spot back, and this is what he is. And that comes with being broken. They used to call it buck breaking back in the day. And that's what a lot of conversation is going on right now, talking about he's been buck broken. I don't know. But it does seem to me that if a gentleman, offers you a platform on this station. It's a black-owned platform, and you can speak your own truth, and you have to worry about being your voice being shut down or your opinion being, questioned. I don't understand why you didn't take on that opportunity. Might just be me. Again, I'm your host at No Fan Man. I go by New. Like I said, just leave your romances and romances at the door. Not a Brady hater. Man, come on with this. Oh my goodness, that's why I couldn't even do a cash yesterday, because it's just like just throw. Some of y'all gonna have to get your stomach pumped. Y'all can't see me blinking some of y'all gonna need stomach pumps. Matter of fact, I wonder what stomach pumps pay for in the lottery, or if we can get some on the market, in the stock market. Oh, anyway. Hey, again, I'm your host. I go by New. Thank you for joining me. Hit the like and subscribe button. Check out them in the descriptions. It'll be all them other little social DMs you can follow us on. Comments, whatever it is, man, just come talk to us. Dude, we out here. We're trying to get this done. This is we call this another side of the game. We ain't here just trying to be like everybody else or just make those. We don't want to. I'm not here. It's not that I'm necessarily trying to be different, but I want to hear something else besides those same lane. The storylines is just riding the same. Everybody just grabbing hold. It just grabbing hold to it, and they riding with it. Is there something else in there that maybe we missed or maybe we seen or didn't hear? I had a conversation with a young man, or not with a young man personally, just some chatter going back in social DM, and it got into a situation where there wasn't the dialogue got a little out of line. Nothing wrong with a little shit talk, Let's keep it pleasant. We keep it pleasant though, okay. But again, thank you for joining us, man. Hit the like and share button. I'll holler at y'all next time. Super Bowl is over. Y'all know what time it is. Gotta wait for the spring ball. Not spring ball, but for the folks to get down in town for the baseball season and different things. See how that jump off. Something got to be coming down the pike. Basketball still running around right now. We still got some games out there. So, but it's gonna be a minute before we get back on the football field. Enjoyed you all. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace, man. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah. Back when Ratchet was a ratchet and the vixen was a vixen and your Master K was alive.